So I try to prepare my attempt at the scientific argument for the existence of Allah in a way that we can kind of check it like this YouTube you shared, right? And so this I share with my parents, and I kind of I expect so they fully understand this, but I was surprised so how good this works with AI tools, so that you can go in every detail. And I think the reason it is like that, so I mean, it is impressive that those quotes the Imam has, they are part of the Quran, right? So this is in that sense not made up, and even more so with my father. But it's a similar issue. So my father often, when it comes to so biology, he is often more accurate than Wikipedia. But nowadays, this is, it's just not as important. So when I started at the gymnasium, most didn't have access to the internet, and Wikipedia was not this complete of a lexicon as it is nowadays. So this is not as important. And the problem is that my father, in other so when it comes to other topics, he has just this one mode where he is like this biologist that kind of knows everything, right? And so when it comes to mental health, this is real dangerous. And so we have I think a good solution now. We will meet with my semi-blind aunt. So I will go a bit earlier to Einsiedeln, and so we will discuss those kind of family issues there. But I had to go to the hospital on Wednesday to show. So I have an issue in my left ball region, and I talked to my brother on the weekend, and this is random, but he has something similar. So he fell in a way, had an accident with the bike. So we are not symmetric. So the issue is often closer to the left leg, right? So there is the weakest. So 85% of those problems are normally on the left side, right? But it so I had to show it because it could be I don't know the terms in English, so Leistenbruch, and that wouldn't get better, or it could be a kidney stone that would have the same could have the same pain, right? So they had to look at it, and I would say before I knew that it is most likely nothing dangerous, I would not really have changed with my brother, but now I would not want to switch. So in his case, everything is blue. So it's So, but that is something I was able to share, right? So no issues at all, but it mostly reminded me. So I was just 3 hours there, and it mostly reminded me of 2023 when I was the last time on the like emergency place in the hospital where it led to the mental hospital visit, right? And like most of the cases there are quite in pain, and some of them are not like able to properly talk. They are this tired and like and they cannot do much. Like they just check if it's something you have to like act in a couple like hours, right? And well, the issue is that with my brother, so this is the brother that is so not my
It
doctor.
causes much pain.
Sorry.
No, because of this, the issue is much pain there.
No, I don't have much pain. It like my
It's
brother probably
normal
has
behavior, right?
my brother probably has a lot more pain, right? But it didn't go away, and so you have to show it. No, I'm not that much in pain. So, but like the urologe, so when he saw the inflammation, right, he kind of didn't understand that I'm not sitting there or laying there with an ice bag, right, cooling it. But no, it's not that painful actually for me, though. But it is constant since like 2 weeks now, right? And so they just told me to show it, right? And they don't have the ultra sound, so this device at my Hausarzt praxis. So that's another reason, right? And I asked my doctor brother like if he would like show it, and he told me even if it is Leistenbruch, it doesn't really matter to wait a couple days if it gets better on its own, right? But it didn't, so I showed it. And this is just an example, like that might be different. So there we have a functioning family, right? So that works. But the issues that led to this, so that I was distressed, and so I was this enraged that I made a bigger round, and I stood too long that day. So it was not just our phone call or like, yeah, but now I changed that. Now I'm so sometimes I'm just laying down on the phone, and so like, yeah, but I didn't do that, and I think that led to it. So the left leg was not good either, but that recovered in 30 hours. But this pain in the left ball didn't, right? And so yeah, but so I wanted to use it as an example. So like the mental issues and like this. So my like so besides this Versuchsreihe, so this statistical test, like I found a lot of guidance and like in the like in where it counted the most, that I found with Bach, like reassurance when it comes to like this mental health. And so this is based on like Jesus, right? And so that helped me the most. And like that's why in the past I was kind of cautious about like destroying such a proof, because I think for most it is not worst guidance. So religion would be better for most than nothing, right? And so
Right.
this is why now, so like and the argument we destroyed doesn't really it doesn't even destroy the Quran, right? It just destroys the argument of this Imam. This is not a scientific argument, right? And so like the most important is that we would need to look so for the truth. Those mental issues can no longer be so this absolute taboo. So what happened is, because my brother never opened the book and doesn't want to listen to what happened recently. He is so we are not in touch when it comes to like 90% what happened for me in the last like 4 or 5 years, right? And so this is a way of avoiding reality, but like all of them do that in my family. They just have like different ways to do it, right? And this is like there I see the biggest potential to reduce suffering. Like the rest, so like the back issues, or like in this case, well, if it doesn't get better in 3 weeks, then I might have to like call them again. But like so that you cannot change. But if you know it will get better, this is not like that never leads to a trauma. But like if you have such a mental hospital visit, so this back and forth, which led to those indictments with my godfather, and they just don't want to know about it. And in the case of my parents, even though they know it, or like I told it to my cousin, they just don't want to realize that this is a reality. They listen to the content, but for them, then it is over. And this is the most dangerous. So like, even though my parents understood the so when it comes to this Gottesbeweis from the Imam, like, and consider this important work, they are not able to apply this in another setting, right? So they make such bad decisions when it comes to their like psychological development, and it would be as easy to point it out even with the free version of ChatGPT. It's this obvious, but they are used to that. You just like avoid that. So like I guess the most important input was actually like you summarized it. It's a good summary. I wouldn't remember this much alone, right? But then I asked, like, did you fact check this with AI tools? And the problem is that they never dare to fact check their kind of decisions in life, right? And they wouldn't need AI tools. They would be able to. They just don't want to think about it. That's the issue, right?
Right.
And so now I'm trying to prepare this for. In English, it's like Father Patrick, I guess. So the philosophy professor, and I will kind of try to get closure with this as well. So this part we have to kind of finish by then, right? and
Mhm.
my parents will finance another 3 months, but it should be more about the homepage and so on, right?
Mhm.
And there
Yeah.
I have that they will visit on the 7th, so this week, from like one of those inclusion foundations, organizations, so this David Stiftung. So they actually do what I think is needed the most. So we will discuss it. So instead of like founding our own, we might be able to kind of just align with this foundation that is already a thing, right? So
Mhm.
with my uncle, but my uncle
Yeah,
had
your uncle Felix. I read something on group chat. What happened with
um,
Uncle Felix?
so that part. Well,
Yeah.
I mean we invested quite some time, and Romano called me on the weekend as well. So the first time since he is in this new place, he called me. So
Mhm.
I but the call broke. Uh, I expected like 20 minutes, but it stopped uh, around 10 minutes. So like this is why I met Johanna yesterday. So we talked as well, and so yes, I was like what stressed me the most, but this was like 2 weeks ago, is that our letter where I invested uh, like not just a couple hours
Mhm.
for the so there is this kind of reunion, this Alteinsiedlertag in everyone that was at the gymnasium, and
Mhm.
so it's kind of all connected to this. So I recommended Sibyl and Felix to that we meet like separately before that, right? But otherwise, it was mostly the content of my uncle Felix, like about Africa and so on, right? In this letter, it
Mhm.
didn't lead to a sign of life by Sibyl, sadly. But I mean, I cannot change that. We tried. We sent with uh, so Mona had the address of the brother, and so it was the same when Sibyl was in the mental hospitals. It was just that if you wanted to write her, you had to go through her brother, right? So we tried that, and she didn't um, reply. And so, like, well, I guess I have to accept this.
Mhm.
But what I don't accept is, so they had on the weekend an event for, so those are the three, those are the siblings, right? My father, my godfather, and Felix is the godfather of my brother. So they had an event, like a concert. So they played the Truth Quintet in the hospital in Einsiedeln for my godfather. So I don't know for like that he like they told him that he can no longer work there already several months ago. So he had to, like, they told him he has to stop working with 75, I guess. Yeah. And so that was probably more like sooner. But yeah, so it was just like to finish this career, I guess, right? So, and it's not that I kind of do mind that my father and brother played there, like, without, like, telling me, without asking me, because especially with my brother, I don't think this is okay at all, right? So like, after what they did, but I mean, that was their strategy, and so they like, we had this Zoom on Wednesday, so with Tina, and it was more about that we plan, like, because for my parents is, like, I guess it's kind of big thing that they are going away for roughly a month, and that I will be in Einsiedeln, so yeah, but that we kind of, like, that wasn't even 10 minutes, and then it was more like, even that we used this example of, like, with the music scene, because I'm going to talk to those people. So I even now have I didn't remember this, but Mauritius told me, so there is one math teacher. I believe we were together in a camp even with Hieronymus. So Hieronymus was like Hieronymus Krapf was like an uncle of the husband of Johanna. So like and so like, I will try that, because the rector didn't respond, right? So I will try it with him, and, like, yeah. So there it was just the issue that I wanted very small information, like, about this orchestra they founded, who is responsible, and, like, if they have I don't know, a number of the new, because it's a mess at the moment. There is no one. They have not found yet someone to lead the music school, and like, yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. So, but I just wanted to know, like, like, and then my mother, like, 3 hours until she told me she doesn't want to give me this number, and like, then it was just that they asked the conductor of, so that was the orchestra my father kind of founded, so der Orchesterverein in Einsiedeln, and so there is now, like, roughly the neighbors, so those are the grandchildren my parents, also my mother sometimes watches as well. So, like, the information was just that at the moment this orchestra does no longer exist, and that for the first time, so Machler had enough, and is kind of, like, annoyed as well with those communication issues, and that they are going away for a couple months. So that was all I would have needed, but it took several hours, and my parents wanted to kind of, like, and then it was that I offered. So the idea was not that I wanted to play. I wanted to offer my cello that someone uses it for the next decade. And then my parents on Wednesday somehow assumed that I wanted to do a comeback on the cello, like, play solo. And their issues were more about that someone from outside that is better kind of wants to play with them. But it was not at all about this. And this is always the dynamics you have. So when we played for, like, the foundation event of the, like, this is a famous bibliothek, so this Bota Bibliothek, or like we played for when like the new buildings for the hospital or for the baptism of the first twins of Roger Federer. Well, obviously during the concert you play, that's what it's about, like you play the perfect family and so on. But the issue with my mother is that she thinks this should be the reality. They should always pretend everything is like and like this is this stressful to always pretend. And like it's like a divorce. So like this Fach psychologist Sternat told us. So maybe the best solution is that I have no contact with what my parents did, right? For a couple of years, and it's asymmetric. It's always that they don't want to deal with me, and I basically just have to stop existing in such moments. And I don't see the point. Like, they never supported me. Like, especially my godfather did quite the opposite. Why should I even think about supporting them? Like, they did the absolute minimum financially as well, by the way. And so it's just that they always try to break their side of the agreements, right? And this time, the first time, it was that like we agreed. They kind of even asked for someone to look after the house. So we agreed, and then on Saturday, on 1st of May, like my parents wanted to, like, if I will do all those things, I'm no longer welcome. But it has nothing to do. Like, this is not. This is the logics of my mother, and it is full of holes, right? It has nothing to do. Like, I don't need to go to Einsiedel to talk to those people for the most part. It would be better, and it would be good for closure, so that like before the like summer holidays, I can finish this with the Gutachten finally and those indictments, at least in the Canton Schweiz, right? And but they are just used that they do it like that. And so they didn't tell me that they went kind of unplanned. They visited my uncle Felix, right? And I think the worst is my uncle, and it's not without reason that so my cousins, so his daughters, that side of the family, they don't want to, like, they really don't want to see him. They don't want to have contact with him, right? And so that's always what he asks. Like, so he blames everyone, the world, and me included, how difficult it was for him with, there is even a fourth sibling, right? A sister, but like, that my father and my godfather, like, that they were always better in school and so on, and that he is just like, my grandfather was the worst of them all. Like, he didn't take that serious, but like when it comes to this like psychological issue, my uncle Felix is still a teenager. He's this underdeveloped, right? And their strategy is always like it was with my grandfather. So because my grandfather was the back then most important doctor, right, in Einsiedeln, like my godfather had perfect marks at the end of the gymnasium, so Maturazeugnis, because the monks, so the teachers, they feared my doctor grandfather this much. And these dynamics, the problem is that my godfather still wants to keep up this, that you just have to blindly trust in the authority of a doctor, right? And this kind of fear is this dangerous. And I'm no longer part of this, but a big part of the elite in Einsiedeln still functions like that. And like and I don't understand why my brother or cousins and so on blindly continue, right? For my brother, there is not even a heritage involved. It doesn't make sense at all, right? So, but
Right.
yeah. Then because my mother took some plant pictures, well, even my aunt told that randomly. So yes, they were there, and it would have been fine if they really thought it through, and like if they didn't want to tell me, they could have told Tina that they don't want this, or they could have told me, so there is this last event, and we decided. But the way they do things, that they just omit stuff, like it's this intransparent, right? And it's this bad for my mother as well. So like there was nothing besides that with my other uncle. So here, the church president uncle, we had 8 months minimum that we had to undo the damage my mother did when it comes to this back and forth for the Ergänzungsleistungen with the SVA. And again, the biggest mistake was that she didn't ask for counsel how to do this, because this is a tricky case. Like at least 7 years back and forth, right? So this is luckily not how it always goes. So like with Mark Moser, like if it's, but he had some issues as well, but like not 7 years back and forth, right? So it's if it's like a accident, you see if someone ends up in the wheelchair and the SUVA is involved, so like this kind of insurance, it can, like, actually the rule would be that it shouldn't take more than 1 year normally, right? This decision. And yeah, but so it's not all like, but again, the issue is just that my mother doesn't want to have it as it is. And now we have a solution, and the SVA as well. So basically we had to come up. So like I kind of support, or they supported me by buying like the groceries. So I was able to do a year roughly of psychotherapy with this Ukrainian psychologist. But again, they don't want to take this as something meaningful, and so I had to do that through my brother. But we did everything that it is like they always wanted it, that if they buy food for me, that they support me directly, right? But that was a lot of paperwork I had to do with my uncle. And now, because even the SVA was of the opinion that is better, my aunt as well, they just don't get this, right? Yeah, it's complicated, it's annoying, and they are not in this situation, right? So they have a lot more money and other issues. But it's kind of the same with like most that own a house in Switzerland. So our generation can no longer afford this. So you have a lot, like my parents, in their like they are even young compared to most are like in their late 70s, and they have a house that is now 5 times too big for before the like maybe there was the family, and they even had like that they had rehearsals for like the music school and so on, and now it's just so like in my godfather's case, it's more than 5 times too big, right? And this kind of damage to the environment as well, they just want to omit, right? So this is just because they don't. It's a good example, and it was today on top of the Swiss news, and like that just doesn't work with them. For them, it's just those. That is something taboo. That's something we don't even think about, right? And as long as a concert, any form of culture, art is about this, it's like with this beginning in the Quran and the Bible when it comes to this wisdom tree. Then you die because you eat from this wisdom tree without knowing. Then there is nothing behind it, right? Then there is no message behind it. Then it's at best a competition who plays the truth quintet the best, right? And there I luckily did. So I have, I think, even a recording where I compare this. And like the problem is, my godfather is not even good on the contrabass. So he's always like just part of it because he pays for it. And then you have to pretend it is otherwise, right? And this is like with nobility for what they fought the French Revolution. So this guillotine, yeah, that's what they deserve. So it's really at best this is nothing, but it leads to a lot of unnecessary suffering. And like then, even though for me that I learned this language was the most important kind of to have something to do during those times with the mental hospital visits and so on. But what they are doing is kind of working against this truth, right? So if you make a concept but you cannot attach a message, like with the 5-chord cello that is in the, like the Martin Zeller is, especially when it comes to, because it's a Baroque mensur now and Darm chord, so this is like if you want to do the transition to gambe, and so like it's a kind of old instrument now, the bow as well. So for that he's maybe one of the best worldwide still, right? So he plays and recently actually with the 5-chord cello. So I shared the recording at the Bach Foundation in St. Gallen. But that was not my goal. So my brother completely misunderstood. Because he had a lecture when so one issue is, yes, I think it's better that the cello is in use, but like that is as well my project, and even more important for me is to give on this legacy of the critical thinking. And yes, this combination with learning an instrument that would absolutely go along, right? But it's like with soccer, that would not be the worst game to grow up. But if it's just about a replacement for religion, what music is now for my godfather, right? And so the worst part for me was with Felix, that instead of like calling me that he like would be in the region if we want to meet, or like a month later, no, he goes to discuss it with his specialist, Dr. Brother. How do we deal with this problem of the nephew that doesn't want to accept that he's not mentally ill, right? So that's what he did. So he, like even though he did all those things in Africa, that is like with my mother. This is not logically connected. That has nothing to do with me, right?
Right.
And so like he, like both of them, right? So they, they cheated in the marriage in the worst situation when, like, the children were at the age where it mattered the most, so in their teens, right? And so it's understandable that they don't want to be in touch with, and it's kind of strange why my godfather, I think this is way worse what he did, even, but it's the same problem. Why he, as a doctor in Einsiedeln, like I would have sent him away first to Africa, and like that's just because of my father, they do that differently, and it's wrong. It's completely wrong, right? It's just they keep up this terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, your family, who is the most important person who organize all of the things, and the main rule, um, who is in?
Well, I mean, the issue was in the past, it was my grandparents there, and not just for the family. So, like, about this bakery and so on, like, they like this side of the family especially is like, so those foundations are not made up, right? But like, um, well, my grandfather, and then like from this generation, it's my godfather, yeah. So he's by far the richest and knows the high society in Einsiedeln, but this amounts to nothing at best. So like it's a very good compass which are the worst souls in Einsiedeln. If my godfather kind of wants to be part of, like, if they are like part of the entourage, right? So this is it's this obvious, but very hard to see if you are a 10-year-old child, right? To understand those dynamics. And now it's this obvious, and they are not even really good at hiding it. So yeah, like this is I never understood this, right? I never understood this. And I will no longer do this. Like I will no longer allow those situations. So I wanna exactly discuss this, but how do we do this from now on? So I'm not gonna prohibit my father to play with his brother, but I'm not I'm not tolerating the rest, right? I will not, because of that, stop telling this story. And this is exactly what I will do with the lawyer, right? And so it just didn't sink in, this reality. So, like, what my father should do, that it doesn't continue like this, because the only deal we have is that what happened up to the 10th of March for him is kind of resolved by that they keep up to this agreement we have, that they support me for an attempt for inclusion attempt, right? And he already tries to back out, but my father is like the other siblings. Horrible. It's horrible what he did. It's terrible. It's horrible. And the only naive person, my mother, and it's worse than in Bangladesh, because she had all the opportunities. She can read, and she can she had the opportunity to study at ETH. She is just not able to think, to question things, right? So yeah, like, but that's and I mean, this is exactly what this expose in 2021 was about already, and now it took another 5 years to. Well, it's like with Trump. It's this obvious, but the problem is that most, especially of that generation, are just used to that you don't question a priest or a doctor, right? And that's always the worst. So if you like, this is how this Doctor Imam starts as well. If you just blindly accept the like worldview and God of your family, right? So that's the worst you can do.
Yeah. And what do you think all happening and exactly what on you what do you think, what's the reason they think about you because of those actions?
So I didn't fully understand it.
I mean, when they did something or do something that is you don't like the way what and something makes you they suffer, but something makes you suffer to why they doing this way and what do you think what they think about you to take their decisions you know everyone take decisions like anyone take decisions on anyone they know him better. If I do something different, I always think how he will take this so what do you think, how they think about you before their actions?
So I think the problem is exactly that. So my mother has a lot of headaches, even cannot sleep because she thinks a lot. Um, but in a wrong way, right? And that's again without, I think in this case, the best guidance would be a psychotherapy. So this kind of approach, you don't have to label it psychotherapy, but like you would need the assistance of someone with a different perspective. And like it's not a given that because you have a lot of migraines and like are occupied with something that you come up with good decisions. And the problem is that they don't talk with me, even though I would still be alive, right? It would be something different if you have a problem where you can no longer talk to. So it's that's the simple answer, and this is something the first psychologist in Basel more than a decade ago. Well, that was what she said as well. So like, because it's a problem of the system, you would need to work with the whole system, and they don't allow this, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, my father is not as like my father is not as naive as my mother, but he uses this to his advantage. And so he doesn't care about the reality. He just cares about how can he use this to kind of keep up this marriage and like this. Like, it's the wrong things. His goals are completely wrong, right? And they probably would have needed to work on this. Well, that is a quest for a lifetime, right? And now it's in many ways too late to learn this language. So my father is, when it comes to communication, way worse than AI. Like what you kind of wouldn't there's a misconception, right? You would think he's well educated, knows a lot about science, biology, but when it comes to like encounter another human being, he's terrible. Like he's one, but there are so many other teachers that are similar, right? Yeah, but so like that's that's like it's not hard to see this and like every day would have access to, like, if you are in well, the region where, so in Africa or like Myanmar or something, where they would need the most like instead of weapons you would need psychological treatment. There they don't have access to this, but my mother and like it's just something they don't do for themselves. They do it when it's too late, and basically the same as with the AfD. Someone that is going to psychotherapy is, and that's the worst, especially for my godfather, they perceive this as mentally ill. So if someone goes to this kind of counseling, then for them it's obvious there has to be something wrong, right? So, and yeah, so they, and my father is much worse in that regard than my mother, but on her own, my mother was always like that, right? So it's not hard to see. And like my brothers, they are just omitting it, but they are at least, especially Lorenz is kind of transparent about this. So he just told. So it's not that the author of the book understood this. She thinks this is one of the worst signs, that he didn't even open this book, right? He just, for his protection, he doesn't want to know. But he was at least transparent about this fact. My father, my godfather, my mother, so they want to pretend it's the same, but they want to pretend it's otherwise. And this is even more like, this is even worse, right?
When I want to ask a little more that when you like misunderstand happen, or you don't like their actions much, sometimes then what you do in back their actions?
In the past, I was not able to, I was this dependent financially and so on. So they had full control. And now, since 2024, that no longer works. This kind of logic completely falls apart. I do my own thing, right? But it leads to that we never have success together. But this is entirely on them. So when it came to like this Zoom, all my father had prepared, and it was completely like so with the Green Party, what I tried. So he put it as a debacle, right? So that in the future I should listen more what he tells again, right? And this is exactly the opposite of what it should be. It's not that it was a big success, but I talked to the boss of the Green Party in the whole canton before there was the Hauptversammlung. So he went to that Hauptversammlung and he told this former Nationalrat, so this Urs Bernhardsgrüter, that he doesn't think it's a good idea, that he's way too old, but he still wanted to be president. And now it's a different dynamics. It will not go on like the last 3 years. And there again, the issue is that my aunt is this much of this such an idol for her, right? But he's way too old, and he's actually helpful for the other parties with that he never does something, right? And so, like, I'm glad I tried this, and my father wants to destroy the success of others, and that's all he ever did in his lifetime. When they become dangerous, but you had to do that in the academic life or in professional music, and it's exactly what their family dynamics was all the time, right? So you like, and it's just ridiculous nowadays. And he doesn't, like, he must be this unhappy. And my mother as well, they have nothing better to do than kind of play those games of family politics, and they cannot deal with it, that I do not care. Why should I? I'm the only one that, like, for me, it doesn't matter. Even if they find a way to put their money to use, that they disinherit me, that's actually what I want the most. Like, it's the worst to see this money laying around, and then it will go to the state, and those are several 100,000. So you should, like, do an informed decision. So, like, what most likely will happen is that we will have in 15 years a crisis when it comes to those big houses, because that's the generation that owns them now, and then there will be no one will be able to afford them in 15 years, and it will be a lot of them available, right? And then is when my parents want to sell this. So it's obviously the worst decision you can make, right? And so I think the best would be to talk this through with the rest of the family. But this is where it is not just in our family. That just doesn't work. So they make huge mistakes. It's such a scam, right? So, like, yeah. And those are not tricky questions. My father would easily be able to decide better, but he doesn't want to think about it, right?
I'm in your angrier position. How much you get angry at your peak?
Well, I talked with
And what you do at the time?
I talked with Mark Moser, so we had a Zoom because of that. Like, his strategy is this complete acceptance, right? So more like Dalai Lama, a form of Buddhism, I guess, right? And I think when it comes to pain, this is absolutely the right approach. But when it comes to this back and forth, so yes, I accept that for them it is too late. So like, at best they will end up like enjoying this kind of events, which I never understood. That was even before the accident some of the worst situations, those strange family events, and like I mean, they are divorced, both of them. So like, my aunt and so but I think this is a good solution, that we meet with this like for her, that was every Christmas for the last what is that now, 30 years roughly, right? That you kind of cannot meet with the whole family because they are divorced, and this is all because of my godfather. So like, yeah, I but they don't so my grandfather, so the father of my mother, when I was 12, 13, because I was the only one on the same level in chess, like, he worked on the bank, and didn't have the opportunity to study back then, this was not just the case for women, it was a financial issue, right? So he discussed with me the stock market and so on, right? My siblings, they were just not interested in this, but they were as well younger, of course, right? So, but my grandfather, when I was 12, 13 years, discussed more of kind of the family business than my mother does, right? And the problem is that exactly similar questions. So one of my elementary school friends, so I will meet again in eines, so Dragan, like because his father died, he discussed this with me because he has to decide stuff like that, and his mother is like my mother, not very experienced in this regard, right? And so that's the problem. It's that's what stresses me, and in this case, the combination of stress and that I ever stopped doing this. So I know that it's not a good idea to make to stand this long and so on. But even if you are this angry, so the issues I have at the moment in my ball is because of that as well, right? So every trauma, the worst thing is if you kind of get reminded and you cannot openly discuss it, right? But compared to like in 2023, that was the reason I wanted to go to the mental hospital, right? Now it is much better. So I already talked about it with Mark Moser and Johanna, and like with Johanna, it's the same issue. So like she is now 65 around as well, and so in pension, and now she is doing those hiking because she thinks she has to do this. It might be that she will never be able to do that again, right? But she has a lot of pain in the knee and needs cortisol, and so it's the same. It's the same she already did last year, and I mean this is the same for my uncle as well. So he was in the hospital because he had a Lungenembolie. That's actually quite dangerous because they went to 3,700 meters with the ski, right? And they just cannot accept that it's now a different time in their life where this doesn't make sense. There are so many peaks they didn't conquer yet, below 2,000 meters even, right? So why not do something that is, and it's the same for Johanna. And if you tell her that, this is exactly where you would need a psychologist. So you don't really need a psychologist, but if you are this wrongly coiled when you think on your own, you need this input from somewhere. And like for her, this is like, it was the first time that someone told her, like, I have to accept as well that I can no longer do this. And they just don't want to think about it, right? So that's, most of it is just that.
When you don't like any decisions, how much in any of them, not only family, but I want to hear with a family perspective too, and others too, that how much you forgive, and how much you want to give a punishment.
So like I'm luckily in a situation where I see a lot of hope that this is not over. My kind of revenge sounds for me, it's not so. It's this kind of revenge you have described in the Patience, Patience, Patience aria by Bach from the Matthäus Passion. I mentioned it a lot, right? So this kind of revenge is what is needed the most, and that is not something I can explain in English directly. But yes, so it's not the idea that you just forgive those things, right? So a lot about the kingdom of God, at least in Christianity, is about that this, well, Prince Jesus wins in the long run by, like, I mean, it's kind of failed hero at the time, right? So, but he was crucified. But compared to Genghis Khan, this kingdom lives on, right? So it's the same issue with the Roman Empire. So no one wanted to be Romanized. There was nothing in it for you if you were Romanized, and so this kingdom. So like if you took the core values of Jesus, this would actually be a very good thing if you would get like if Christianity would spread, but not in the way it did, right? So I mean, this when their decisions are not like against what it would be about, that the truth comes to light, that you don't forget how unfair it was in the Roman Empire and so on, right? But they do the opposite, and so they are basically doing exactly what you expect from the Antichrist, and it's the same with this kind of. It's like in the mafia movie, der Pate, right? So the Godfather. It's exactly that. So they arranged that they will get like killed and threatened, and while this business is ongoing, the Godfather is in the church, right? So he has even kind of an alibi. And so this is the same. They make a concert to hide all this mess that is ongoing, right? And so this is directly against everything the Bible project stands for and Jesus died for. And like even if you point it out like that, no one in their right mind thinks that by doing what my parents do, there is no chance they will be accepted in this kingdom of Allah. And they are the only ones that find a way to tell themselves, like, I mean, the worst is that they're empty souls. So they're even lying to themselves, right? And so, no, I don't accept those decisions. And for me, this was very difficult in the last decade. But since, especially this year, like, I know the other strategy doesn't work. And for me, a lot worked, but like it's always with life, there is a lot of unexpected things. So it's, but I mean, like we didn't know, you didn't know me in 2023 or 2020, and you didn't miss much, sadly. So I had no, like, I had no meaning, I had no purpose, right? And unlike with this case, that is another, so this is the other grandmother with this podcast about long COVID. So there is one, he even studied physics as well, that got long COVID, and now basically just by mental meditation recovered from long COVID. But it's one in roughly 300 cases in Switzerland alone. And like, this is not a good story to share it in the way, and it got a lot of attention, like with this whale Timmy, and like that the United States flew around the moon. Completely pointless. It's just a distraction from what would matter, right? So this is at best a miracle. Like, it's not that I'm not glad that he recovered, but for the other 300,000, this doesn't help at all. And it paints a wrong picture. Like, it's a big issue that we don't have reha clinics, not even planned in Switzerland. The waiting lists, like, it's terrible. You wait like years, and by then it's too late, or they are already dead. And it's the same for this kind of psychotherapy I would need, right? So the waiting list, so in parts of Germany, it's even worse, of course, right? So like that would be, and so all our media like presents is this one example. So yeah, it's like with a miracle, or maybe he didn't even have proper long COVID, and that's why he recovered. Like, what does that help? And that's the difference to what the Bible did with the Passion of the Christ. Even if this is made up, and they were aware that 2,000 years later or an eternity later, it's not that what helps. It doesn't help that 1 in 300,000 kind of survived. It's not about that, right? It's about this legacy that like fighting, dying for the truth. But the idea is that this was the last time this was needed, right? So it's not but they were like, they are just used. It doesn't matter what it is. Like in my case, like there are much worse, like family, when it comes to sexual abuse and so on. For the most part, more than 80% are like, the victims know the like it's often an uncle or something, like it's often those family dynamics. And that's this bad to know that it doesn't matter what happens, they will find a way to put it under the table, right?
Yeah.
And that is really like, this is why like, yeah, but with Romano it's kind of the same, and I don't get why the author of my book, like, for her, this, it's such a mess. But it's again just that they didn't think it through. It would actually be something you like. I would need someone for me to write. So if we would be able to show with like how to finish or write the second part of my book, what kind of work that is, I think even if Romano never gets out from this situation, he would have a purpose to write for me. But because the last book was this work, I, for the most part, financed, and Johanna did everything, he learned nothing. He doesn't understand that everyone, like, if you want to have a homepage, there is a lot of planning and so on, and this part for the book. So yes, it was the content. He noted for himself in those 15 years, but the author, like, writing the book, that is what Johanna did. And now he didn't learn much in that regard, right? He didn't grow, which would be, it would be like, and he would need to find a way to write about something, maybe a similar issue, a similar dynamics, but he cannot do that. He cannot connect it. So it's yeah, it's sad. For me, it's really sad to see. But I don't think they are doing a good job. Like what is lacking the most is a psychotherapy, and he doesn't. So the book was about that, right? So that he would deserve this treatment, but he doesn't get that in his situation in the prison and so on. But there, the biggest assistance would be if Johanna would dare to do that and discuss this case, so like a supervision, right? Which you need in pastoral care work and like those like this foundation as well. So this supervision, if a case gets tricky, is this important. And so maybe that would even work indirectly, that Johanna discusses those issues, but maybe they don't. Like for them, this is for them, if they think of something, this is already a lot, and you would need to. So like if they pray for you, they actually expect that you thank them. So that's
Definitely.
yeah, and yeah, but I mean, I'm doing fine. And that's another like I besides I don't know, like, so the best argument, if you wanna kind of contradict my attempt at proving the existence of God, is that I forgot the name. There's a term that you kind of draw the target after you shoot the arrow, something like that, right? And I cannot really fully prove that, just in some cases, that I didn't do this, right? So what I want is that, like my father, when you see this p-value, and this is not just 1 in 20,000, and I can stochastically show how you come up with this value, right? It's more like if it's sport betting odds, it's more like 1 in 300,000. But like this is not explicable without cheating, or that you as a researcher need to further discuss this. And for me, it kind of changed. So like from Blaise Pascal, even if you asked Blaise Pascal, he wouldn't have given odds, like probably not even reversed odds, that God exists, right? So just it is not scientifically proven either that God doesn't exist, and then it's more about the strategy that he saw that worked out for others in philosophy and so on, when they did more than just for themselves, so kind of contributed to the kingdom of God, right? And then if you are wrong, like this is with this infinite reward, and for someone like Elon Musk, it's the absolute super GAU, but he's aware of that, right? And so that changed. I actually found the best indeed that is actually that God exists, and that's why I continued with this strategy and so on. And if you really want to verify, but I just want to get to that point that you understand my motivation to continue this, right?
Yeah, definitely.
But we are
But
not there yet, and this is where I got with ChatGPT Plus, but it is not. It seems it's not understandable, and for others, and this is often the case if you are familiar with. So the other day, Ghost wrote something about, and this is why he called me. I didn't get that. So there was an accident, they call it, at the airport in Bangkok, or what it is. Bangkok is the capital of Thailand, or I don't remember. But like it was that 27-year-old Chinese woman was kind of debating if she wanted to jump, and then the underpaid, uneducated security personnel kind of wanted to play the hero, and by this effort, she kind of got pushed, or like she was unprepared, and so she fell and died, right?
Mm-hmm.
And from what ChatGPT wrote, I didn't read this, I didn't understand it. So I needed the call, even though it's not that complicated, right? But this is often, like, if you don't know what such a summary is about, it's often useless, right? So it is
Yeah.
very good, like a screenshot, that you remember the temperature when the
When
where
I
you were in the moon cycle and so on, and if you took notes to like remember, but it is not more than that, right? It's notes if there is this content like attached to it somewhere, right?
Mhm.
So I don't know, but
um,
I kind of
if
want to do the same. Like if you can do that as you did with this argument we discussed by the Imam, and
Mhm.
then I try to discuss it with the philosophy professor, also Vater Patrick. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do it soon. You know, and uh, I am clearing some my confusions. I need a little extra time, but the question is, for now. Like there's many people who were tried to prove existing of God, like 20 or 30 years ago too. If I say many measures of them, their logic, scientific logic, maybe in this time outdated. And if today we prove or nearly prove something, a logic, a scientific logic, then after 20 or 30 years later, is there
No,
how to
also
make?
that is not what happened in this case. So they did that on purpose, and they were able to manipulate a big part of the people. They are aware that this is not a scientific argument, and something like a Fisher exact test doesn't change in 30 years. The result of this is eternal. That's not the issue. But I think you still don't understand. This Imam is similar to this example I made with this already in the book, this evangelical preacher. So he is not direct, it's more subtle. He's not like hating on Christianity, but it's real dangerous what he's doing. And like Ebbe, you have to accept what he did. That doesn't mean that what
Doesn't matter.
India does is better, but there is no such there is no such scientific proof. Like this is so I'm shocked how many views this got and how bad the comments are, right? So no critical thinking, even though it starts with that, or that you should question. And no, that's not the issue. And I think you waste too much time in this. So like you are going to control, like, is this really a quote from the Quran? Is this really something a scholar said? For the bigger picture, this doesn't matter because their goal was, in this case, that they claim they can prove for an atheist, and that's just absolute scam. That's not what they are doing, and I would
like
be
oh, oh,
I wouldn't believe if they wouldn't be they are aware of what they are doing. So that's the issue. So you belong to the part that gets manipulated, right?
I mean that like your idea. Just I need to know that how much percentages you are sure that your logic, what you will do, will not change over time.
That will never change. Like that is not the problem. Like probabilities, they don't change. The problem is that he makes examples that are not scientific, and that will never change. And it is not some like the only thing you can argue changes is that they write something in the Quran that it was in the beginning one mass, but it's something strange, unscientific that like the earth and heaven somehow separated. So it is all bullshit, right? So when it comes to science nowadays, and then they find a way to, in hindsight, so this is exactly that you draw this target in hindsight, attach it to the Big Bang. And my point, which AI tools didn't get, is that not even this is true. Nowadays, it's still in physics, yes, it's something like a Big Bang, but we think now this might have happened in different parts. So it's several masses, right? So they might, like there might be several points where this starts, right? So not even that is true. So they're not even their drawing the target in hindsight is true. But that's not the issue you have. Like if you have a case where you properly set up this experiment, and like I underestimate that it is something my parents understand. But like if you want to do this, if you want to do this argument, you have to find a way that you independently pull from like but I think you saw the result of what ChatGPT or what it was commented on it, but I don't think you understand what the problem is scientifically, right? So the Imam attaches something like a probability of 1 in 1,000 for that they came up with the idea that life is connected to water in the desert. So that's like, this is not scientific at all, right? Why should that be a probability of 1 in 1,000? Like, it's probably even more obvious in the desert that where you don't have water, there is no life, right? So why would you give this a probability of 1 in 1,000? And then you would need to have statements in those scientific verses, like, and if one of them is completely unscientific, which a lot of them are, this argument falls completely apart as well. But the probability, if you have a proper probability, something like roulette back then, or a cube, that probability will not change as long as information exists in the universe, and that should be that's not something I'm familiar with, but I think this would even work when time no longer exists, right? So that is quite eternal, right? So that will not change.
Yeah.
But this is just something you probably got from what AI wrote. That's not the issue. So no, like proper finding in science. So like this Fisher test, that will never change, right? So that will always be true. It is that we might come up with the method. In this case, I don't know. You might even be able to show that this is not possible. That you can. So that it's more about that. But like, there are things where you are at the game theoretic optimum. For example, when it comes to the light microscope with the real image, we are at the limit because of the wavelength of light. So it's not possible to build in this universe a better microscope that is based on light, right? And stuff like that will never change. It's, by the way, the same for the Galileo telescope. We built the best that is possible on Earth because more than 15 square centimeters don't help you with the resolution because we have this kind of fluctuations with the atmosphere. And so if you want to build a bigger mirror, the effect works only if you are on very high altitude, basically above the clouds, especially, right? Outside, even better. So that's like, that will never change. That would be the same for another Earth as well, right? And most in data science arguments are like that. But this is why it's not that easy to connect to like philosophy. And there I like my argument is a bit weak. So that's not really like, I formulate it as a scientific argument that God exists. Like I'm aware that this, but I want this attention, right? So I want exactly that someone does this, what we did, or yeah, like with this imam for my argument. But the difference is that my way of pulling those statements and like the method, like it's a bit trickier to understand this, right?
I don't have any issue that Dr. Zakir Naik's scientific proof gone wrong. It can be, and I didn't know before you told me. That's the amazing thing, and I'm surprised with it, and I'm happy. No issue at all, cause actually I like I maintain the way of life of myself or religion, not based on scientific actually. That's why that's not bothers me. But if I try to understand with scientifically, I need I need a good logic, like you try to put. That's okay. But sometimes you know, I have less knowledge about it. That's why sometimes I asking that scientific solutions sometimes changes over time. But you already told some main core things will not change ever. Yeah.
No,
And
like that. It doesn't change like that. Like the problem is, nah. Like, but then it's not. Then it's not. Then, like, this is why the time wasn't right 2,000 years ago. It was not possible. Like, even nowadays, you can, for example, film something and then with the timestamp and so on. Like, if we had a recording of the Passion of the Christ and so on, like, but we don't, right? So there are things you were not able to show back then. That changed, right? So we have
yeah,
like, yeah, but this is, yeah. So like my attempt works without directly observing God. And I think
yeah,
if you don't approach it that way, that is for me not like, I don't think you can come up with an idea where you like that kind of destroys the universe how we know it. I think if you actually would need to observe something directly, right? And yeah, I don't know. So it's like, but in essence, you would need to do exactly the same you did to this. But I tried to, like in this newest chapter, I tried to summarize exactly that because I want to see how much can we prepare. The problem is not that Pater Patrick, like he is familiar with my book, for example, but he doesn't have time to read more than so it has to be presented in a way that he can maybe read it or that I can explain it. And that is tricky as well because you don't have the issue in a scientific paper that you have to wait for kind of the other side to understand the steps. You just have to lay out the steps. And it's not your issue. So like the paper where I'm co-author, I don't understand, and I would need to question the ones from the group what they did, right? Maybe it would need several weeks. But this is not what it is about. So you just have to explain step by step what you did so that it can be repeated, right? And it's not the issue, like if there are, like in Christodulus' case, there are maybe 20 people in theory worldwide that can understand what he did. So that's not the issue there. But because the goal should be the same. So like especially important is this scientific argument for someone like Elon Musk, right? So we have to kind of dumb it down that it is understandable. And there, I think we made a lot of progress, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah. But I mean, like you trust in this regard the output of AI, and I think rightfully so, right? But it completely contradicts what this YouTube video is about, right? And so, like I tried, I shared your summary in a comment there, and they delete it, they omit this, right? So it's not a good sign for them, not at all, right? But it works, and like the easiest part of population to be manipulated is actually the part where this works, right?
Yeah, that post got deleted.
So sorry.
That post got deleted.
Yes. So like you have like comments that are upvoted with 700 likes where they clarify that Jesus is just a messenger, something like that, right? But when you actually refute it, that comment doesn't get like I think it's even deleted now. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's not a good sign. But like, I can understand that it deletes this long of a comment. But like, yeah.
Religious issue actually, this is a much sensitive thing. Actually, the religious debate, and if people don't understand, then yeah, and the social media and the blogging sites also very restricted on this topic.
I mean, what changed is really that you can refute this with AI quite quickly nowadays. That was not the case 14 years ago, right? And so, with many of those issues of like superstition and QAnon, it can be like the way that you like maybe you have to you have to go inside in their alternate worldview to refute it, and that's something that needs a lot of time, and that is something AI can do, right?
Mhm. But you know, on religious topic, especially, um, and many other, on all the topics too, but religious issue, I don't want to rely on AI at all. Just I want to see his view, and exactly, I use AI because sometimes to find something easily, and as if I don't remember something, I add some extra text to find something easily. That's all. But uh, uh,
So
mm,
that's what I started to explain in the beginning of this recording. You have to separate something like looking up where in the Quran this is a quote. Of course, you
mm,
should use AI, and you can control that by checking some examples like, is that really in the Quran? But then you
mhm,
can trust this kind of information. Why should AI come up with something when it links you that quote, right? But
mhm,
other another issue is that you on your own did not even think to fact check this summary, right? So that's
mhm,
what you always have to do when they
mhm.
claim in the title it's a scientific
No, no,
approach.
yeah,
And so
that
you have to
summaries every single thing.
you have to treat AI as this kind of secretary, but for the for when it comes to a decision, you like when we had a presentation. So like in some cases, if you quoted Wikipedia, that was not a proper source because in Wikipedia there could be some nonsense, right? So that was not allowed. You were not able to quote. So based on Wikipedia alone, that was not allowed, right?
Mhm,
But if it adds up and it's better written in Wikipedia, and so I think what happened is like in essence, I tried to so it was not AI. So I told you this is not correct scientifically. And then if you just give AI some like beginning of the ideas how you would refute it, then it's very good at doing this proper, right? And if it's
yeah,
this simple of an argument, then it is quite helpful to check where, yeah. So and even like
yeah,
we
yeah,
should
yeah,
try the
basically.
same, especially
Mhm,
for a learning experience as well. It's not that much more difficult, like my Versuchsreihe. And I will no longer change. I will use this and nothing else. And
mhm,
so like if this is something we do not manage before the 12th of May, then I accept that, right?
mhm.
But I'm quite
Okay.
hopeful this shouldn't be too difficult, and um, it's even not that much of an issue if we don't go to the p values. So it's
Mhm,
actually understandable if we just use probabilities.
mhm.
And there I'm certain you understand this, right?
Yeah, and the scientific issue. The theoretical thing. I already understand what I need to. I told you about cross checking, that all most of them I understand when I read that. But the Dr. Zakir's issue, that's I have lacking. When you told me that your voice is much strong than AI for me, about scientific issue, like because I don't know about it. You told me that that is backdated. Then I cross check with AI. AI told me that that's the issue. That is why that is backdated, or why that is false. Then I accepted that. But the theoretical thing, you know, without a scientific issue, I have every single. I can't say like that, but I have solutions on my own. That when I read that, I understand that. But the scientific issue, I have to rely on AI and you too.
I mean,
And
there the beauty is an opinion in science, especially when it comes to physics, and this is stochastics even more so. There is always that you can build up a proof that prevails. It is just like so that's the difference to a scientific opinion. A scientific opinion has to be based on facts, and each of them you have to be able to check. And then it goes back to axioms, and in this case they are not questionable. So this is not there can like this kind of opinion cannot be taken apart. It's just how you like so like a fact like that if you throw a die 10,000 times, the expected value to have a series of 5 6s in there is roughly 50%. This is when you like this is not an opinion, right? So this is but it is really helpful when it comes to gambling addiction to understand those things, right? So but this is not always the case. So like when it comes to the discussion, so how do we explain this p-value? Then it's just not a scientific opinion that I explain it with like the Holy Ghost, but it's that I want to get to this point, because for me this was the reason that I fully renewed my bet with God, and the result of that should matter the most, right? So and yeah, but there I think you probably would find good examples, but they will not work on someone like Elon Musk. It just will not work, right? And that's why I made this example with this case, the long COVID. Yeah, but I try to do another summary, and like together with the German 10 PDF of my parents, this should explain it all. And for now, my goal is just to get to the point where I was with my father. And it's not that, like, I managed that with GPT plus, but that's not that helpful. I kind of need you to try that and tell me where, like you did here. So, like, where you don't understand it, right?
yeah,
It will not
and
be the thing I reward with the soul stone yet, right? But it is an important step to that. And there well, this is another idea. Like my game, what I will try to do is like I still can play a bit on the cello. I can show how it works. And I think I should offer not just access to the cello for everyone, but kind of lessons as well. And even more so, like on the cello, it's difficult if you can do it only on a theoretical level. So that's why I always some of the most pointless things are theoretical tantra happy ends, right? So that does not really work. But when it comes to this critical thinking, scientific thinking, it doesn't matter that much, right? So I can no longer when it comes to I wrote the bishop because I wanted to ask, like, is it possible for me if I do a shortcut, finish theology, like to work for them? And the answer was basically no, because a big part of it is that you participate in like the church in a way that just needs like funerals and so on. I cannot just do like some parts that still work. Then they cannot hire me, right? And that's the same issue. I will not be able to become a lecturer at the Fachhochschule because I cannot go physically there. So they will not hire me like that, right? But the most important thing that is lacking, especially in those doctors in my family, the way you question everything, right? That legacy I wanna hand on even more than with the cello. Yeah, but so that's, I mean, I shouldn't do longer at the moment. So, and the next 3 days, I don't really have like a short call we can do, but I don't really have much time. Around 10. Yeah. So, but like if you have questions, always, right? Okay. I mean, we made a lot of progress, and maybe it's not just that I needed this. The problem is like Sibyl and even more so the Simon Fasnacht, they needed so like those kind of communities where they have, I mean, a lot of like most of them believe in something like God, and they are just not able to think this way, but they want to do something for mental health. And someone like Elon Musk, that is not a thought because it's not profitable for him, right? But they fell apart because they just burn out, right? Because they don't really have a bigger picture, and if their task doesn't work out, so like I hope it will like this encounter will especially lead to an opportunity for you, and like the situation in Bangladesh, like you deserve it even more than Switzerland, of course, right? And so far that didn't work out because they didn't allow it. So the issue of Sibyl was exactly that as well. So even though she fought her lifetime with similar issues, like was way worse 40 years back with the psychiatric business and mental hospital visits, like she always wanted to belong to this family, right? And that's the wrong motivation, because like you have to fully escape this nonsense. You have to distance yourself from that, and like this is like that is not a thought, as we see with my uncle Felix as well. When it counts, he still discusses it behind the back of everyone else with the only doctor brother he has, right? Even though, yeah, so like, and this is just a way of that will never, like, in those kind of women, that will never change. So you have to come from a different, like to change something there with my pastoral assistant as well. So it's like, it's really important that like I trust that she doesn't she doesn't avoid the truth. She just doesn't get it like that. So it's not the issue that she wants to kind of live according to the same wager I mention always, right? The problem is that she is just not able to do those kind of decisions on a level that is needed nowadays. And this is like more of a problem. Like, even if you want to play, like even if your motivation is to play a game of chess or in poker, that alone is not enough there, right? So just the motivation will not win you a chess game. And it's similar with this wager. It's not enough to just mean well. Like, that's part of this wisdom. This kind of thinking is really important, right? But it's tough. You like, in some cases it would change everything if they actually just a bit applied those ideas of like following Jesus, or like, so that would change everything if just like the 12 richest would do that in some form, right? And there, this is absolutely not the problem with this pastoral assistant. But when it comes to the decision making, there is so much potential to improve. And in many cases, it would be enough to look at the output of an AI. But there is the issue. She doesn't dare to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
Yeah, your way is very harder, and people always try to be easy, and don't want to try much harder. And that the hard work I'll do, the good results will come, and I believe in it. Uh, and that's why I'm very hopeful um, to give you assistance on this type of job. Yeah.
I think it's not a given that it works, but from my experience, that you don't follow the truth and that you take shortcuts, that leads to nothing. And if I did that, I would be no longer alive. But not just me, right? So that doesn't work. Now, if the other strategy works, it's not a given, but you have to try, right? So that's
Definitely,
yeah.
yeah.
So
I didn't mean that given. You tried, yeah.
yeah. So, but even most don't dare to try. As I said, they want an easy way. They don't want to question. And it changes. Like, it's not that it might make sense what my parents did in their 40s, right? But you always have to question that, and it changes. And now they don't accept the new reality, right? And yes, I mean, this is again because of this accident. I would otherwise be, I guess, in a similar situation as my cousin back then. So because I made 2 attempts, so the PhD would have been in my early 30s finished, right? You don't have time to question all those life decisions then. You are part of it, right? You have to arrange yourself with like such godfathers and so on. It's the same with the professor for the most part. You just like are part of it, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Then
And